The wild flag iris is one of our most striking native plants, and it likes damp places. It likes to grow in ponds and in damp fields. Here's just growing in like a little puddle, and it's quite widespread throughout Europe, and it sort of goes over into West Asia a bit, but it can be invasive in other parts of the world, like parts of North America. Flower for quite a long period of time. Really bright yellow colour, which shows up from a long way off. Once established, they spread into clumps quite quickly with these underground rhizomes, and I've got some here in a bucket, which when I separate them up and I put them in a bucket of water so they can keep them happy until I find a home for them. And if I just, they're growing into each other a bit, but if I just separate them up a bit, and then I can get one out and show you. Here we are. So as the stem grows, it sort of falls down and then becomes like a swollen stem or rhizome, and that just creeps along on the bottom of the pond or in the field wherever it's growing, and it sort of spreads, and then it can spread out little branches in different directions, so it can spread out in pretty much all directions as this stem kind of just branches and crawls along the ground. If I get another one out of here, or if I get the whole lot, you can see how they've all grown tangled in together. If I can separate them up, I can possibly find a home for a couple of them. They do provide a lot of habitat for loads of water creatures, and they can grow into a depth of 3 feet deep. And they're sort of really happy in loads of different environments, but they just like it wet, you know, sort of a damp field, a pond edge or a river or a canal. They're kind of where you get them, they're quite plentiful, but you don't see them everywhere. So here you can see almost got another one separated here, but the roots are really matted and tangled together. I suppose I could just sort of bung them in as a big lump or something, or maybe just separate them into like two lumps. It's just because you're threading out these little roots apart from each other, and then I should have a couple of different clumps. That would be more sensible. There we are. So go and plant these somewhere now. This is like an ideal spot here. Sort of nice lot of vegetation. It's about kind of knee deep at the moment, but it will much deeper when it's full. And just sort of squish them into the mud at the bottom there. They're supported by these grasses and things, so they're quite happy. Just put another one in here, and they're pretty tough, and they'll spread and be a nice big clump of them here for lots of wildlife to hide in. Even straight after planting, they look like they've just been there for ages. Now there's a bit more room in this bucket for these 3, and they do spread incredibly quickly, but I've still got some spare ones in case I can think of anywhere else to put some. Here's a few I planted last year, and they've got a few flowers on them. They take a few years to spread in nice big clumps, but they've certainly made a presence. Those ones on the back I only planted recently. These ones I planted last year. I did plant them last year, but then the geese pulled them up and they drifted off, and then I just find them and plant them somewhere else. So over here is quite a shallow bit around the island, and I want there to be like a load of them here on both sides on this like shallow shelf bit. Ooh, it slips down quite steeply there. Very slippery, but basically around the island and around here, so with just a narrow deep channel in between them, and there should be just masses of them on this sunny side of this island here, and they sort of grow under trees as well, so they should be quite happy growing under the branches, hanging over the water, as well as sticking out underneath them where they get loads of light. So it should be a really massive display here, and a load of tangled like iris stems, which are really good for loads of wildlife to live in, and that would be really good. They are pretty shade tolerant as well. These are growing like on a new woodland. There's not a big canopy yet, but there's all trees blocking out the sun, and they're still flowering really nicely. Just as much as the ones in full sun are flowering, really. And I've seen them in woodland flowering quite happily. They don't seem to mind sun or shade. They're not really advised for eating. They can upset the stomach, but applied externally they can irritate the skin. However, they were previously used for treating burns and for joint pain and all sorts of things like that, but it's best not to use them. There's plenty of other things you can use instead. But as a habitat for wildlife, they're brilliant. A good month of stunning yellow, all in the margins of the pond and under the trees and all over the place. So I hope you liked today's video. If you did, please like and subscribe. If you press the little me down there somewhere, you can see my other videos, and I shall see you next time.